they are the best for Mount Cuba did a big trial for them, plant trial a couple years back. They're the most powdery mildew resistant and will attract the most butterflies of any other phlox. It is every, I believe it's 2, maybe 3 years they do this trial. I use it all the time now. It's really good. Of course, echinaceas. Now, echinacea coneflowers are a compound flower. The actual flowers are, see the little yellow ring? Those are the actual flowers that are blooming at the moment. They start from this outside and move their way inside, I believe. Kind of interesting when it comes to it. Ah, here we go. This is my favorite plant for pollinators. A little video here, if I can get it to run. Here it is. That's with the plants still in their pots waiting to be planted. They were covered the entire 3 weeks I was there working on this project. The entire time they were like that. Just incredible. It's a very long blooming plant. We'll go from June, July to frost or so. And we'll always be covered with pollinators or bumblebees or other plants. This is the main plant for monarch butterflies. I got some monarch caterpillar there. You can see it's white, black, and yellow. That's how you can tell there's the markings on it. This is the best native plant. It is native. This is a native plant. Sclepis tuberosa. It is the best host plant for the larval form of the monarchs. And the butterflies will go to eat the flowers, nectar off the flowers also. Now, a lot of times they'll find them eaten to the ground. When that happens, I just laugh because it did its purpose. It's doing its job. It's performing a function. Black-eyed Susans, or in summer and fall. So you got to think flowers to feed everything throughout the entire season, which can start from as early as March, February kind of years. This year, it started last month. Today I was outside and there was literally hundreds of the minor bees out flying around, going on, all the crocus, all the different bulbs that are coming up. There's not a lot blooming at this point. There are some things, like willows are blooming, starting to bloom already. But you can cover the blank areas because they're global warming with alien exotic plants. Plants that are European bulbs are early blooming. Some of the Asian plants are later blooming in the season. So combinations of both to have you supporting them a little longer. Might not be the best, but it's something that we need to have. Because the climate change is really happening. I'm really seeing that in my business. Things have changed big time over the past 10 years especially. And in the fall, asters are truly amazing. This one I believe is October skies. That's maybe 2 or 3 feet tall. It grows pretty quickly. This I believe, and then below it is solidago, goldenrod. It is not the allergic kind. The pollen on this is extremely heavy and falls to the ground. It is not airborne. A lot of people think this stuff is stuff that everybody needs something. It's not. It looks similar, but it's not. And late season food is first thing berries. This is viburnum. I forget which one this is off the top of my head. And then throughout the winter berries. This is a great plant. There are a number of different varieties. Some of them are ripe earlier, some of them ripe later, depending on which one you have. And they'll need multiple frosts to sweeten up for them to be able to eat. Birds, that is, throughout the season, throughout the winter time. And then the last one, think what is keeping its dried seed heads all the winter? Birds have been eating this. This is a coneflower. Birds will eat that, leave it down entirely over the winter. But a lot of them then, that's feeding them over the winter. There's a lot of plants that harbor here over the winter time. Water, another point of This is the hardest point for a lot of people. I think it's too hard for them to have water. This is a small frog pond. koi ponds work. Or you can think a fountain. This is my favorite little cheesy one, but it works. You know, it's a water supply. Cover it places to raise the young. Up in that corner is the bird bath. That's that big, one big garden. That's their water source for that, and it attracts a lot of them. This is basically a meadow. It offers a lot of cover to the animals. Birds will hide in there. Insects, of course. And cover in place. I'm finding nests in there throughout the year, in the summertime also. This place will be on a garden tour in end of May. So I'll have that posted on my website if anybody's interested. Again, cover a place to raise the young. Shrubs. These are viburnum in the background, blooming. And she has an exotic Scotch broom. Came with the property. She loves it. I play with it. I'm not a purist. I don't pull things out unless it's really invasive. I'll cover that too. Shelters. Bird shelters, bird houses. These two up here. And then these are mason bee shelters here. Now, mason bees are spring-only bees. They are much better pollinators than honeybees. They will work, and they're also solitary bees. There's a difference between solitary and hive bees. Most bees are actually solitary. Most native bees are almost all solitary. Bumblebees are small. Hive bees live maybe 50 to 100 bees max in their hive. I have two of them on my property, and they're probably ever see them because they're out and about all day long. Well, these guys are real interesting, but I think Bob next month will be covering some other stuff. I have information on the website too. That's one of the shelters. These are all the mud. They're called mason bees. They use mud to build walls. They start in the back. They're little tubes, about 7 inches long. They're totally solitary. They only do it themselves. The female, all she wants to do is lay more eggs. She put a wall of mud in the back, go out, gather a bunch of pollen and nectar, make something called bee bread into it, put a clump of that in the back next to the wall, put her larvae on it, and put a wall of mud in front of that, and repeat that over until the tube's filled. To me, the most fascinating thing about them, the females, they lay the female larvae in the back of the tube. The males are in the front, always. It's really bizarre. I don't know how she does it. They do it. But that's how they always do it. Now, they're solitary. It doesn't mean they will have cohabitate the shelter. This is one shelter. They're all a bunch of bees on this. But they don't help each other out whatsoever, unlike hive bees, which they have their own jobs. They're extremely gentle. They can hold them in their hands, shake them around. They won't touch you at all because they just need to live and reproduce. They're harmless, totally harmless. Most bees are, actually. Other cover in place to raise the young, the trees, shrubs, habitat, twig, and branch mounds. Just think piles. Insects will go in that, birds will hide in there, depending how big it is, too. They'll hide in that. And we'll make habitat boxes, which are kind of like this, but then you have much of the bigger box that has a bunch of other different things in it. I have yet to make one, I have time to make one, but I see them a lot in Europe especially. Sustainable practices. You can read it from them. But it's no chemicals especially. Low maintenance is a big byproduct of this. Drought tolerant plants, low water use, except in droughts. Even then, I mentioned get away without it. Keep your rainwater on your property. That's a biggie. It helps the towns, it keeps the water out of the drainage system, helping that make it less maintenance for the town and cheaper for you. Some towns across the country are charging taxes based upon the water running on your property. If you keep it on your property, you can get, in some of these towns, offered tax rebates as a result of that. I'm not sure what's going on here. Rain garden, use leaf mulch, not wood mulch, but the first year you really have to use wood mulch because you can't make your own leaf mulch until the end of the year. Green mulch is even better, which means plants, ground cover plants. Put layers of plants in your garden. I'll show a slide of that. No wood mulch, sit that for the first year because you really have to. It's not really good for sustainability. For lawns, you still can have a lawn, but you can use low-mow or no-mow grass. It's very slow growing. There's a few ways to do it, but it takes a while. But you can do it either not mow it at all or maybe once a month if you want to. Again, cutting back on all your energy uses. No chemical fertilizers. Or I do use sometimes herbicide when I first install some gardens. I'll show one of them. Use compost tea for your fertilizers and or leaf compost. I don't use any animal compost whatsoever. No kitchen scraps, strictly leaf compost. That's what nature has always done for years, millions of years. It works just great without us. How do we set up our gardens? I figured it might be good to show how it looks in this cross-section of plants. That's the horizontal line there is the ground level. Right there, that's turf grass. See the ground below that? That's how deep the roots go. 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky. That's why they keep watering it constantly throughout the summer. That's why it goes dormant in the summertime. These are all native plants. The roots go down 15 to 20 feet, depending which plant it is. That's how they sustain themselves during drought. No problems. They laugh at it, basically. This is the structural layer of a good garden. The structural layer, taller things, trees, shrubs, maybe some of this taller perennials. And you have a seasonal theme layer. Echinaceas, liatrices, whatever, black azules, whatever you can think of. So you have constant colors throughout the whole season. And food sources for the pollinators. And then a ground cover layer, which fills in everything. Everything's green. So instead of having brown wood mulch, you're having green plant mulch, or green plants, filling everything in between. I did one project last year where we experimented using a very small clump-forming fescue grass, not a spreader, planted directly in between it. It's working great so far. 2 years ago I did that, sorry. It's not filling it. If you have a spreading grass, it'll strangle the plants. You have to have a clumping grass to do that. Now, the first thing you got to do is look for invasive species. Very common, purple loosestrife. That's on my clients. She insists. I came in after this with working the property. She had put in a number of purple loosestrifes. She loved it. Didn't want to take them out the first couple of years. I was talking to her slowly, educating her on how bad it is and what it really means. We took them out a couple of years later. But you get rid of the basics, Burberry's, whatever it may be. There's a whole list of stuff. There's too many to go over. This is a milkweed. This is a tropical milkweed. You can tell by the red and yellow flowers. Do not use. It harbors a disease that will affect the wings of butterflies, especially monarchs, that's their host plants. Only use the Asclepias tuberosa. That's the orange flowering one. Many garden centers in this area grow this or sell this. They just don't know that. It's very common. A lot of garden centers still sell the purple loosestrife because they don't know. You educate them. It looks great, but I don't want to take the chance on the butterflies. Because it affects the wings and they migrate. Now here, how are we going to prep our beds? This is a chemical application. It's all laid out. The brown is actually the grass that's dead. The cover it over here, these are all different planting beds. 5,000 square feet of planting beds here. Cover the thin layer of leaf mulch and plant it directly into that, through that. Didn't disturb the soil whatsoever. Do not till soil because it breaks up the good stuff in there. Short explanation. But use herbicides. This is the one application where I will in prepping beds, because you don't know, literally do not know what's in the grasses when you get to the property. There's no through 2-3 years to start prepping the beds. You want to get it done. I look at it as a one-time application. Well, two applications. maybe 3 sometimes, depending on how bad it is there. Then from there, you go into beautiful habitat gardens. I'm okay with that, because I know what can happen if you don't do that properly. It's not done right. It's real issues. This is a small garden full of an amazing, what's it called? It's a little buttercup yellow flower. It's out there right now. Puts a little green disc leaves that covers the ground. I cannot remember the name off the top of my head, sorry.
Celandine?
Yes, celandine. It is a highly invasive ephemeral. Comes up, will take over everything, fill in densely, and strangle everything else trying to come through it. Unless you use chemicals on it, you'll never get rid of it. Because it leaves, not only is it setting up roots, it's putting these little bulblets, so you cannot dig it out. With one little bulblet will start a whole all over again. You got to spray it right as the flowers are starting. It's the only way to get rid of it. It's the only way to kill it. Anyway, so with this property, we did sod cutting. Unknown to myself and the homeowner, there's something inside of it called quackgrass. This is a horizontal rhizome here with little roots, and then it puts out shoots going up anywhere from like an inch below the soil line down to over a foot down in the soil. Anywhere from an eighth of an inch thick to about a half inch thick. You can't get rid of it unless you spray it. Digging out is almost impossible. That's why I've got moving towards the spraying more often than not. Because of this, you can't tell. If it's in the grass, you can't tell what's in there. So the girl didn't know. This is the same garden, putting in the structural layer. Grass is, most of the grass is red bud over here at the far end. That's the north side, so it's not casting any shadow off the ground. Now most of these pollinator plants are full sun plants. They love the sun. Although shade gardens, you find stuff too, but it's easier to create a real smorgasbord of plants in the sun than in the shade. This is as it's going in, the seasonal thing layer and the ground cover layer is all being done at once. Although I will go back in and fill more ground cover layer in as it develops over the next couple of years. And another thing I always look at and always try to put in is the bulb layer. These are flags designating all the different groupings. There's about 900 bulbs put in this place, this property. It needs it. 25 is not going to cut it on the property. Well, there's one couple nice bulbs. You want to have the whole thing covered. So it's providing habitat, food especially, for pollinators right now. Even, it may not be native, but I don't care. It's giving them pollen, it's giving them nectar. I'm okay with that. There's nothing else blooming. Or very little else blooming. This is going to be a habitat rain garden. Front yard, nothing there, obviously. Wanting to keep the water on this property. So this is how you do it. You start with doing a water filtration? Percolation, thank you. Test. This one, extraordinary drainage. Within 15 minutes, it completely drained down a foot and a half. I've never seen one that good. I have ones that take 72 hours to do. That's still okay, although it's in the far end. But if you get overlapping rainstorms, it's always full of water. Hence bringing in the mosquitoes. So you lay it out, draw it in the ground, and start cutting. This one is sod cut also. Dig down the hole, level it out too, they build a hole over there, lay out hardscaping for it. You have to have it in, this is from the downside, taking in water from half the roof into the small rain garden. There's in and out, the rough end. Oops, sorry. There. This is in its action during rainstorm. That first stretch there is all impermeable, rubber liner underneath it. So it will be soaking. We keep it away from the house about 10 feet, at least minimum 10 feet, 15 feet is better. Here it's filling up. and it's drained. It will fill to the top, and within an hour and a half, it's completely drained, which is amazing. And this is it at the end of last season. It was done in this early spring. This is done last season. It grew in really quickly. Then in the fall, added in the ground cover layer in the bottom of it using special calyxes. Calyxes are really good. It's a type of grass. Well, sand, really. These are some habitat gardens. This is in front of the College Community Center. This is a certified habitat garden. Just outside over here is a small water bowl they put in last year, I think it was, finally. There's another small front yard habitat garden. This is certified habitat garden. You don't need much, really, to do it. There's a slightly bigger garden, a lot of black plants. This is the Phloxtina again, with coneflowers and different grasses. Liatra's here. This is a bigger garden. Now this is the one that planted directly into the grass, the clumping grass, not running grass. That's really important. This is a habitat garden, not a certified wildlife garden yet. Although this year they're going to finally apply for it. It's been well qualified for years. They just never applied for it. There's another garden. Again, this is my garden actually, my back garden. I use it as a trial garden. We're testing it out. This is a bigger property. This one will be on a tour at the end of May. Riverton. Big property. This is always full of birds and pollinators throughout the year. It's incredible.